Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Man, um, well, we missed you all last week for very good reasons. For very wonderful, powerful reasons. My name is Ruth Ann. I am one half of one half co-founder, etc. of DEI Cypher. I am now back in Chicago, but have been in Morocco with Yoli in person for the last 12 days. I just got back yesterday. And so I'm a little it's always so fun to get home in certain ways, and I'm also like, oh, so much to process, and so much wonderful things so many wonderful things came through, and it was a lot of what we wanted to talk about today with y'all, whether you're listening to this live, whether you're listening to it later. Yoli, do you want to I know you've moved locations, you've done fun, you've
I'm keeping this ride going. So, hey,
yeah.
friends, thanks for joining us live or in recorded form. My name is Yoli Maya Ye, she, her pronouns. I'm the other half of co-founding DEI Cypher Group, and we're excited to just cypher with y'all today. All about cross-cultural learning and experiential spaces, the power of retreats. Having just embodied and lived, I'm on the living end of things in a very extended situation. But the way we've designed this organization is that we practice everything that we teach. Mm-hmm. And we consider all the principles we're encouraging in your spaces in our own space and how we design this company. So I am in Essaouira, Morocco, and it's on the Atlantic coast. It's a very magical place. Pretty sure this is my favorite place that I've visited in all of Morocco, as soul connection goes. My personality fits in this place very well. So that's fun. We're in a beautiful, sweet space. The sun is shining. The sky is azure blue today. It's a beautiful 75 degrees, whatever that is in Celsius. And we didn't do a YouTube last week because if you check out our Instagram, you'll see we were technically on camels at that moment in time. No Wi-Fi, although there was Wi-Fi in our camp that night, but not enough to holler at y'all from YouTube over IG Live. So no, not doing that. We're just coming off of a really special time spent together, a time here in the beautiful country of Morocco. We also have to name that it's World Cup. And Team Maghrebi is kicking behind all around the world, made it to the semifinals. It's such a positive energy. I was trying to think of something else that could unite a nation, some other event that everyone could feel a sense of pride and connection about. I'm like, a Nobel Prize winner? No, it's football. It's World Cup, not even Olympics. It's more individual, but this is team. There's a collective sense. And so it's so special to be here for this. Actually, Ruth Ann and I have some funny stories about the not the quarterfinals, but the game before that. How we were caught in a few cheering riots and caused a traffic jam and just all the things and the emotions and insane hospitality of Moroccan people. It's really a very special place here. And that's why we're super excited to lay a groundwork that we can bring folks back here.
Yeah.
to get into this whole idea and what we wanted to holler at you all about, we wanted to cipher about today is the magical power of cross-cultural experiences, experiential learning, retreat, and how we get expansive and creative.
Yeah. I mean, and the things that were, some of the things that like, I think particularly came through for me that are such priorities for what we want to embody and practice and share with you all is like, there can be such this sort of, whether it's really conscious, like very top of mind or kind of sitting under the surface, there can be such this idea of how creative arisings come through, when they're supposed to come through, how they're supposed to come through. There can be still this like real deep space of like the forcing and the like crunching in on, really getting here versus, I was thinking about like, the conversations that it can be so easy. And like, not to say like intellect and using our brains is so important. It's not about trying to dismiss any of that, but coming back to like embodied cross-cultural learning, I was thinking about like, I landed into Morocco, and the next day, we got to, Yoli was very smart to do this and said, oh, we need to go to hammam, right away. Such a grounding experience. And for those of you who aren't as familiar with hammam, in a very broad, simple sense, it's, kind of the Moroccan style of spa for a very simple way to share it. In a much deeper sense, it is such a huge part of Moroccan culture that I think talk about like embodied learning, cross-cultural learning. The conversations that I feel like Yoli and I had after being able to get like steamed and scrubbed and just really like grounded into the earth of like Marrakech and all of these things was like the differentials that I think can be experienced there, not only from this cultural component, but this embodied cultural component of this practice that's so, you could like anyone that I talk to, at least in Morocco, where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to hammam today. They're like, I go like 2 or 3 times a week. It's just, and I was like, and again, this is my American, like sort of, like, oh my gosh, you go to hammam 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I want like, wait, I should be going, like, but that is a very like common response to taking care of the body in this cultural, in this country.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like what we did, and we know this from hospitality industry from hospitality industry, we made body care a luxury. And when you get to come to Morocco and experience indigenous body care in the form of this Amazigh medicine, they make all their own medicines from plants, they drink teas, they make all their own beauty care, body care. And so in the hammam, hammam is a bathhouse. And in the Western mind, we do think of bath as a pool of water that we sit in, but hammam is steam, warm. I actually went and saw a hammam today that it almost looked like something out of a sauna bath. It was a stack of charcoal and then a pipe, and the pipe then ran through the back walls and the floor and the marble slab you lay on. So everything's heated around you. It's not like in the West or in America when you go in a steam room, you're like, it's actually too much. You don't need that much steam. You don't need that much sudden heat. That's not what's healing for the body. But hammam is where you go and you rejuvenate your kidneys, where you go and you sweat out toxins, and it should be mild. There's also that social component to it of it's a community meeting place.
Oh,
And yes, the bathing with black soap, made from argan oil and olive oil and these delicious oils. And then is your scrub, your kesa, your de-exfoliation, which is a rich therapy for the lymphatic system, boosting circulation in the whole body through the smallest capillary spaces, the smallest fluid-filled spaces. And then lightly covered in rasul. It's mud mixed with orange blossom and rose water, and sometimes even a little bit of crushed cloves. And then you sit with that and meditate in the heat. And I also want to add the beauty of having someone bathe you. If you are a parent or a caretaker, hey, we got to make sure these people get behind all the little crevices and, get in all the places. But when you're adult, someone gives you a bath and scrubs you with loving care, it is such a tender experience. So what a loss when we create barriers to access around bath, rest, body care, health, massage. You come to a place like Morocco and you see, oh wow, there's a way to do it in the indigenous design where everyone has access.
yes.
And you're supporting each other in the public hammam. The women in the space will support each other in the bath and the scrub and the massage. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And well, there's a variety of things going through my head about this. It's like you made me think about this whole notion of luxury that we really have kind of attached into, and especially in US culture, the expense then attached to the notion of luxury on taking care of body. So then the prevention of the access. I mean, we got a whole system rolling here that I know even for someone like myself, I've definitely made a lot of investment in the body over the years, however, there are still times that I will be like, oh, I must be spending too much on my body. I'm using too many of my resources on body, my financial resources. And I want to name that when we think about retreat as well, just this, there can be times that, even for folks who are kind of in the wellness space, it can still be kind of this like, oh, I'm taking rest. There's like this kind of like, there can be still a little bit of this, like, whether that's voiced or not, of like really just kind of landing into the body. And, I would say even like going, it was, it was Yoli and I were planning for me to come to Morocco many, many months ago, and I mean, it was incredible. Like, we did so much. We had so many amazing conversations. We also got to have some rest space too. And I want to name that in that, like, we had so many amazing sort of arisings and conversations about kind of how we're kind of pathing out what we're looking to do, whether that's in the short term or the long term, as we continue to grow and change. But also, like, we got to have adventures, we got to have space, and so and sometimes, it's going to be 3 weeks from now that kind of integration is going to really pulled in too.
Yeah.
And that's another piece that I think is so important to talk about when we talk about retreat, when we talk about the power of even just cross-cultural learning, cross-cultural embodiment. Sometimes these things like, man, it's not going to always be this immediate component. It's like a month, year, it could be years later. It could be, it's like,
what's the next experience that helps you remember? That's the way transference works. It's non-linear.
It's not.
Exactly. So we did get to take a big adventure. We took a 3-day Jeep trip out into the desert.
Woo.
And what I was really looking forward to and took the time to document as well was wide open spaces. And we periodically need to go into wide open spaces, natural spaces, forested spaces, ocean spaces. And in this case, we went into the Sahara, the desert space. And we climbed sand dunes, and Ruth Ann was sporty enough to sandboard, and we rode camels, and we banged on drums, and we sang by the fire, and we drank wine. Gotta tell you, they have really great wine in Morocco, grown here. And it was all about that space. And so one of the things we want to hammer home in our fireside chat here is we have to periodically step out of the compressed environment. I actually wrote a whole newsletter today that's resonating on a lot of themes. Even this like self-care, beauty care piece, and why we need space and the opportunity to switch up our habits so that we can see ourselves. There's this phenomenon called inertia. In the Indian traditions, in the South Asian traditions, we use this word tamas, meaning inertia. And sometimes when we think about this concept of tamas, we're thinking of, well, that means inactivity, right? Because tamas is going to be on the opposite side of rajas, overactivity. Okay, so in the opposite of overactivity is inactivity, but it's not. Tamas is not inactivity. It's more like a centrifuge. It's the activities that you're stuck in, and you're so stuck in them that you don't even know you're stuck in them anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was reflecting on my year. I like to do a year in reflection thing. I like that exercise. And so that was a lot of what this newsletter was a year in reflection and the changes that I challenged myself to make. And looking back, even from the vantage point of 4 months into a radical lifestyle shift, and what I'm starting to see, what's starting to melt off. And so what we want to do with folks is share our art of curating intentional space. What we know how to do is take a very short period of time and create an incredibly concentrated experience. Not concentrated because you're going to get really tired and overwhelmed and overloaded. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
That somehow the retreat space is so spacious that we do quantum fractal exponential transformation within it. This is what myself and Ruth Ann do best.
Yeah.
And we know how to bring the wellness piece as well as the business piece together into a space, but we need to take you away. We need to take you into the magic of the land itself and the people themselves. And so we also have to be in partnership with the land. And so that was part of our trip as well, is coming and literally asking permission of the spirits of this land. Hey, can we come here and
Yeah.
bring some folks here? Is that, can we
Just the right,
be
yeah.
in support and, you know, the idea coming into mind is a mutual benefactory experience where folks come, but they don't take, they receive.
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, there's it's so important, I think, again, talking about what we want to embody and what we practice as a company, you know, as an, you know, it is absolutely crucial for us. You know, we are constantly challenging ourselves in this process. And when I say challenge, again, it's not about like, you know, kind of getting up in here. It's more of just like, okay, we've got this, like, you know, you made me think about this centrifuge, you know, and then like this amazing power, like and that this kind of concentrated piece, right? And then like, wow, like as this is like, it can just sometimes, you know, it can just take a couple of days. You know, we've got this idea, Yoli, you were talking about time. We've got this idea that change takes a long time. And it's like, man, one little tap on a pattern, one little tap on that centrifuge suddenly shoots things back. The design, you know, the pattern, the tangential opportunities are suddenly so clear, you know, so obvious, so clear. And to your point, it's like, you know, I would ask anybody who's listening to this, it's like, you know, I've done plenty of in-office, sort of in workspace workshops, and Yoli has as well. And sometimes that is literally kind of what needs to shake. You know, I don't want to complete, like those can be very, very important. But I just want to name, like, that, you know, when I think about the differential between going into this day-to-day space that you're in all the time, taking away some really, you know, like receiving some really cool information or some new ways to do things, versus like, whoa, you get like transported into a new container. That again, you know, that is what we do, you know, and that alone, that sort of time, space, three-dimensional, that like, it's time, you know, retreats are time travel. They are quantum, they are fractal, in that you're like, whoa, today is still Tuesday, you know, today is still Monday, you know, where you're like, I just can't even, you know, so that's and that unto itself is such a powerful component of retreat. It's just this simple exploration of understanding the power of what can happen in such a short period of time.
And the process that follows it, which you are in right now.
I know.
First, there's the part where all of your energy body has to catch back up with you to be in one place. There's a piece of you that's in Isaweta. There's a piece of you in Charles de Gaulle, Paris. There's a piece of you in O'Hare Airport. There's a piece of you in the CTA. So it's all gonna catch up.
No, I'm doing a lot of like, boom, right now.
And there's not a fixed time frame on what it's going to look like to process the experiences that were just had. We were talking about this literally just before we got on with y'all. And we, in our process, we recognize this isn't just about follow-up. This is about a little bit of a back stitch. And again, we move the stitching forward. So our retreat experiences don't end when the retreat ends. We craft along with you to continue to provide you with whatever it is you as an individual or your organization needs to squeeze every little morsel out of that experience. It's not just about the retreat environment itself. How do you prepare for it as well on that front end as well, the preparation mode?
Yes.
So we, in our embodying of our own principles, we also played a lot on our adventure here in Morocco and allowed for everything from the markets to the boutiques to the museums to inspire us. We had an amazing creative session right in the middle of a stop at a restored kasbah. So the kasbahs are the stopping points for the caravans that ran from Timbuktu to Marrakech. We can say to Marrakech, but to Risani, and then from Risani on the way to Marrakech. Sometimes these caravans are coming from Timbuktu to Marrakech and then across to Sudan, all the way across Sahara, and back down. It's kind of this triangle of this region of North Africa down into sub-Saharan Africa historically. And so try to imagine caravans of 5,000. That would be a mini caravan, right? But upwards 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 camels. And so you have to have caravanserai, you have to waste stopping station, in places where camels get watered and people get fed and people sleep. And so the kasbahs, we traveled along the road of 1,000 kasbahs. And this place, Salawat Kasbah, where we stopped, was a restored site, so we could see, wow, what were things like and how people lived, and not just a ruined situation, because they're built with mud, and mud has a shelf life. So a little bit shorter shelf life as a building material.
Yeah.
And we played and we spun around and we came out into this courtyard and we saw a well that we could sit next to, and we just boom went into creative mode. Spaciousness, the simplicity of the colors that we were surrounded by, azure blue sky and this beautiful tan color of the mud brick and the shiny coating of the mud and straw on the outside. It was just a stone pathway before us. We just plopped down and started designing and started getting creative and letting the juices flow. We wanted to share this story because creativity requires space. It requires an opportunity for the mind to get a little emptied out and for there to be play and joyfulness and celebration along the way.
We also, I think, like our we can talk about creativity and intuition another day, but I name it here for a moment because we can't really, without without dropping fully into all the body's brains, all the body's minds, like we're going to experience some loss on the possibilities, some arisings, or we're gonna have some stagnation there, or some potential, where versus this like when we're able to have these really embodied creative arisings, these embodied solutions, whatever it looks like, of like, ooh, how do we collect and connect these dots? Man, when we've got the whole body working, and the whole, like our whole space, and then doing that also in collaboration, with another human, with another person.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother kind of power that I think, that can get really, can get kind of that component of that collective energy, that collaborative energy retreat, that cross-cultural or cross-pollination, somewhat, it can be very cross-cultural in the sense of, whether that's your workspace culture, your personal culture, whatever's going on. But man, so we can take like kind of all this personal retreat experience. We then also have this amazing component of like, we've got our kind of space-time continuum and all these things going on. And then we've got everyone else's like all being kind of held together and like,
Yeah.
whew, like,
Amazing.
yeah.
So
So
check it out.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm about to get a call to prayer real soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the muezzin is basically in my living room right now. So
Understood.
before this amazing ritual comes through on the vibes, we want to tell you about our upcoming retreat. Mexico, just outside of Tulum, March 17 to 22nd, who we're inviting our industry leaders in the industries that we serve: yoga, wellness, hospitality, lifestyle, hospitality, food and beverage, hotel resort, lifestyle. You in cannabis, you come on. You make beauty care, let's go. So including product development, direct service, all the things. We want to bring you into our conceptualization of the Hive, a transformative space where we cultivate creative solutions for growing leaders and healthy leadership, balanced, accessible, sustainable. That's what, when we say healthy, that's what we mean, leadership. We're going to be launching really soon our executive coaching services. And this retreat concept is something we will be repeating. And we want to plug you into the retreat space and the coaching space in support of you showing up in the best, most rested, restorative version that you can. Planting seeds for March of 2024. We'd like to invite you all to come to Essaouira, Morocco for restorative leadership retreat. And we want to take you on a very deep dive into all the things we've been talking about, the adventure that we had here. But just coming back to the Mexico experience, we're hosting you in a fabulous eco resort.
Oh, so good.
About 15 minutes outside of Tulum. We fly into Cancun. We take care of you from there. We have a cave to play in. We're going to purify with ceremony in Temazcal. We're going to swim in the healing waters of cenotes, connect to land, beach excursion, and in between all of these elemental experiences, we want to take you on that special space travel cosmic journey into unlocking the creative solutions process and developing your leadership potential. Anything to add, Ruth Ann?
No, I think the thing that keeps the only other piece I'd say is like, I think we also, we want you to walk away from this experience in Mexico, not only with this retreat experience unto itself, but also just this ability to kind of, have a little bit of, I call it a map, but it's a changing, it's an ever changing map, but like,
yeah,
being able to leave retreat, not only like, and leave, we can all spend, we can expend resources on these kinds of professional development moments, but what's super important to us, coming back to sustainability, coming back to integration, it's like, it's not just about like, okay, this retreats, you've had this experience, you've had an expansive moment, great. Like, how amazing would it be to be able to just hark back and actually have some real tools and some actionable components to remind oneself regularly to keep that fractal, that wonderful quantum moment of
exactly.
Like, wow, I'm going to go back into my workspace and like, oh man, that navigating that sort of reintegration and that grounding into self. That's something that's really important to us as well. So, and it's something that can sometimes get a little missed, and it's not, because it can be so fun to just get so focused on just this retreat experience, which is so powerful. We just also want to take it a whole nother space to then really give you this ability to continue along and have those moments of like, oh, my centrifuge, my tamas is here. like, oh, I
Yeah.
have another moment to make some changes or transform a little bit, even away
Yeah.
from the retreat container.
I
Yeah.
love it. Unlocking the stuckness and riding the wave. Like enjoying the spiral dance and being able to hop on and hop off. It's like a hop on, hop off
Yeah.
tourist bus.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
once in a
so
while,
true.
those are really fun.
Yeah. Hey, anyways, yeah. Ah,
Yes, and to add, we're also excited to build a network of leaders that can juice each other up. So
whew.
nectar and honey await.
Yes.
And we'll
Yes.
just glob it all over our
Yeah.
bodies. Well,
Just, whew.
yeah. All right, friends. We're gonna wrap stuff up for the moment, but we sure thank you for listening and for
Thank you.
participating. Check us out on the website. Information is up there about our upcoming online workshops, and very soon you'll see the info about the retreat. So we're gonna catch you next week. We got one more talk this year, and then we'll see where we go with this space. So let us know if you're finding these talks helpful, if you have a special request on a topic, and we will see you very